My father said the way he used to say, has to catch up. Your sister on $310,000. And you're going to pay it. Not a question, not a statement directed at me. It's what a verdict delivers to someone who had already been convicted in a room they weren't invited into. I was just there to be informed. It's what a Sunday afternoon in February, the kind of February that dialed there without apology. Flat, great, and cold in a way that doesn't bite you so much and spreads down on everything, steadily. Let's have all the time in the world. My parents' kitchen smelled like the porridge my mother has made for lunch none of us has eaten. My coat was still on. I had been in the house for 9 minutes. My father sat across from me. My mother sat at the end of the table, closer to him than to me. Her hands were in her lap, both of them. She was looking at them the way you look at something that tells you what you need to know. But that you're hopping, if you keep looking, will somehow say something different. My father continued. Britney's business fell. They are predators. Some of the accounts have your name on them, from when you co-signed that loan 4 years ago. Not the pose of someone uncertain. The pose of someone moving through points organized in advance. We handle it as a family. You pay it, we put it behind us. I looked at him, then at my mother. She was still looking at her hands. I said, how long have you known? My mother opened her mouth, then she looked at us. My mother opened her mouth, then she closed it. She looked at my father. That was all I needed. My father said, you pay it or you're no longer our daughter. That's where you are. I looked at my mother one more time. She has gone back to looking at her hands. I said, then I'm not. I stood up, got my keys, picked up my coat, which I had never taken off, and walked down. The drive home took 10 minutes. My hands were steady on the wheel. The radio was off. I got inside my apartment, hung up my coat, stood in the counter for a moment without turning on any lights. Then I sat down on the kitchen floor with my back against the cabinet and cried for 15 minutes. I know it was 15 because I was watching the clock on the microwave. I think I needed something to measure. When the 15 minutes were up, I got off the floor. I washed my face. I made coffee. My hands needed something to do. Then I sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, and typed 2 words. Credit report. The number at the top of the page stopped me. My score has dropped to 1,017 points in 4 months. That is not a number that accumulates gradually. It's not formed that way because you forgot the pigment. It's formed that way because something has gone wrong at a structural level. Something foundational. I called my best friend Rachel. She arrived 40 minutes later with text-mate. Neither of us were going to eat. I had to use those 40 minutes to bring the full report, all 16 pages, and set it on the table under the overhead line. Rachel went through every page slowly, without rushing, without performing concern. Once I set the last page down, she looked at me and said, this isn't a family problem, Sarah. This is a federal crime. 4 years ago, I had co-signed a $52,000 business loan for Britney. She wanted to open a boutique fitness studio in Plano. My father said it was a formality. She'll make her payments. You never even know you signed anything. I asked for a copy of the loan documents. It never arrived. I told myself I would follow up. I did not follow up. Because I was busy. And because trusting family is not supposed to be the thing that's ruining you. The account on my Reddit report showed $94,000 in refinancing I had never authorized. Then a second business line of credit, $78,000, as an institution I had never worked into. A third, $67,000. And a personal credit card, the kind that arrives in the standard envelopes and requires nothing than a name, a day of birth, and a social security number. All of which Whitney had. The balance, $71,000. The cards have been open for 2 years. I have never held it in my hands. Rachel and I built a spreadsheet, 7 rows, 6 columns. When it was finished, the numbers told a story that was cleaner and more legible than 16 pages. Because a spreadsheet has no emotion. It only has what it has. Total $310,000. At 10:20 a.m., I called the bank fraud department. I wrote out the representative's name, the time, the 3 card numbers, one proof I did prove. I placed a security freeze on all 3. Then I filed a consumer fraud attorney, Daniel Groves, with an office on Congress Avenue. Groves reviewed everything without rushing. When he set the last page down, he said, "Several of these signatures are forgeries." He let the word sit. Then, "There's enough here to file a criminal complaint. One we file, you cannot take it back." I said, "Filed it." Gross sent certified letters to all 4 registrars that afternoon. 2 days later, he called. The case had been referred to the FBI Financial Crimes Division. He said blandly, "The way you say something when you want to make sure the other person doesn't miss it. No one can make this go away quietly. Once federal investigators open the case belongs to them." That evening, I text from our mutual friend Amanda. Frisney asked me to reach out. She says it's all a misunderstanding, as it just needs a chance to explain. I read twine. Then I put my phone down and make dinner. The FBI field office is a building designed to look like it could be anything. I has never been inside once before. Agent Rivera was sorrier than I expected, with a resigned posture that's come from years of moving through a room where you need to be taken seriously. The meeting was 45 minutes. At the end, I asked, "What do I need to do to support the investigation?" She told me. I took notes. I have asked for help many times in my professional life, but there is a different texture. To asking for help when something happened to you. Something that has to do with who you are and what have you done to your need. I have always found this kind of asking difficult. It's required admitting you have been in a position to be harmed. I asked anyway. On day 7, my building's intercom buzzed. The camera showed 6 people in the lobby. My father, my mother, Brittany, her husband Jason, Aunt Linda, and Grandma Pat, who everyone in the family knew I could never say no to. I said, "Send them up." Brittany started stalking before she was fully through the door. Misunderstanding. Mistake. I thought I could fix it. I thought there was time. The words came fast, rehearsed, disintegrating in real time. "And Linda, we just want to sit down as a family." My father, "Whatever you need, sir, we'll find a way. Together." He looked at me differently than he has on Sunday, not from the position of someone issuing a verdict, but someone who understood, for the first time, that verdicts could be issued in the other direction. Grandma Pat held my hand and said nothing. She knew exactly what she was doing. I waited for the room to go quiet. Then I said, 3 days ago, this case will refer to the FBI Financial Crime Division. I have a federal case number and an agent assigned. A federal investigation does not work the way this is working right now. The decisions about how to proceed doesn't belong to me anymore. I cannot call Agent Rivera and tell her I changed my mind. And I haven't changed my mind. I paused. Too late is not a threat. It's just the truth. Brittany sat down on the floor of my hallway. Not dramatically, more like her legs seemingly stopped operating. Jason went down with her. My father leaned against the wall and slowly slid down until he was sitting on the floor with his face in his hands. He was 65 years old. He has worked the same warehouse job for 24 years before the company downsized. He has been on the back porch of their house himself the morning I was 13. I had never seen him sit on the floor. My mother looked straight at me. Her voice was very quiet. I knew about the refinancing 2 years ago. I told myself she would pay it back. I should have told you. I'm sorry. I believe her. I want to be precise about that because it matters. The story was real. It didn't change anything. I said, I know. Then, I need you all to leave now. No one argued. 1 year later, Brittany pleaded guilty to 3 federal fraud charges, reduced from 6 through a plea agreement. On $310,000 in fraudulent debt were removed from my name over 5 months. 8 institutions, dozens of certified letters, 2 notarized affidavits. When the process was finally complete, my credit score was 14 points higher than before any of this started. I find that fact absurd in a way that's only true things can be. My parents and I still speak, not often, not with these. What we have is a relationship honest about its own limits. Smaller than what I wanted, more sustainable than what we had before. Christy and I have not spoken. I carry that up and question the way you carry something that belongs to a future version of yourself. Rachel and I still have French on the first Saturday of every month at the Fleet of Salt Conference with good eggs and bad parking. She argues about the tips calculation every single time. She is exactly who she has always been. I am aware of what particular cost gift that is. Someone asked me not long ago, whether I were. Someone asked me not long ago whether I was angry. I told them I was ready. They didn't understand the difference. I didn't explain it because some things don't translate into explanation. The experience of them is the only proof that the thing is real. Anger is still looking at the thing that hurts you, still in relationship with it. Freedom is not the absence of what happened. It's the absence of what happened is the loudest thing in the room. I called my bank that night because I had stopped waiting for someone else to handle it. I filed a complaint because the alternative was to be someone who knew a crime has been committed against her and chose silence anyway. I said too late because it was.